Broadcasting live across the southern plains from the tornado bunker in the McRoof World Headquarters, the McRoof Radio Network brings you home repair McRoof style. I'm Rick Allen Lippert here with restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCullum.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you. Retro Radio Randy is the wizard on the other side of the curtain today.
Greetings to you.
Who will answer your call to 405-656-5868. We'll start the show with our trivia question and the tool of the week, and as always, we're taking your home repair questions. That number again, 405-656-5868. Then in the second half of the show, we'll have our What Were They Thinking segment. Scott, I love the title of this week's story.
Oh, well, Myrtle, you sure are sagging there, girl.
And you're not talking about underwear.
No, I'm not.
Then in the third half of the show, we'll have our After the Storm tip, and we'll wrap up with some very wise words from Scott's dad. And coming back from breaks, this week was one of my favorite sayings that your dad says.
Oh, okay, good.
And
Yeah,
then,
it seems to be recurring for some reason.
Yeah.
So.
And then coming back from breaks, we'll have some very obscure historical trivia.
Any Beatles in there today?
Yeah, there is, as a matter of fact.
Good deal.
The McRoof Radio Network includes KOKC in Oklahoma City, KNSS in Wichita, KPNS in Lawton, KAKC in Tulsa, and now KALV in Alva. Wherever you are, you can call us at 405-656-5868.
Please do.
And I want to start off, before we get to the trivia question, I want to start by just mentioning to everyone that Scott has made a tremendous investment into the radio show, and he has dedicated a second portion of the tornado bunker
There you go.
to our talk suite and put a window.
Yeah, I started saying he's no longer the wizard behind the curtain.
Well,
he's now the wizard behind the glass.
Yeah, but the wizard behind the curtain sounds a
it
whole
does
lot
have
better.
It does have a ring to it, doesn't it?
than the operator on the other side of the plexiglass.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
So, anyways, so if we have a little bit of a hollow sound today, it's because we don't have all of our sound deadening material up on the wall yet.
We'll get that taken care of.
We're working on it.
Yeah, but this is great because now we'll be able to have our in-studio guests that
Yes.
we promised people.
Yes.
Excited about getting that lineup in place and kind of nailed down a little bit for certainly for the next few weeks before we get into the real storm season active period of time for
Right.
all of us. So.
Right. So let's get on to the trivia question, and actually the answer kind of ties into the tool of the week. So
Well, it's not one in the same, but they're certainly along the same
Right.
Same subject matter. So,
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. What technology allows us, quote unquote, to see what was once undetectable, being water behind walls, under insulation, or buried in or under roof systems? What technology allows us, quote unquote, to see those things?
wow. So
Okay.
if you think you know what that is, and then give us a call, 405-656-5868. It's really interesting technology.
Well, it is, and it's. When we talk about our weekend review, I'll talk a little bit about what we were doing.
Okay.
This week, because we actually had that application this week in our day to day, and it does tie in to some degree to our tool of the week. So.
And I will tell everyone out there that I have put the tool of the week on our Home Repair McRoof Style Facebook page.
Okay.
So if you want to, go to the Facebook, you can find out what the tool of the week is, and that'll put you on the track to guessing what our.
So you keep me confused. Is it Facebook or is it YouTube or
Well,
is it both,
we have
where,
both.
What
I
are
have
we doing now?
the tool is on the Facebook page.
Okay.
All right, but we are live streaming the show on the Home Repair McRoof Style YouTube channel.
Okay, and then what about the website? Do you put the tool of the week on the website?
I haven't. I haven't.
Might be something we start.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can certainly put a link to the Facebook page.
Okay.
You're talking about a lot of work there. Oh, is that
Well,
something Dion wants to
well,
do?
hey, you remember that other of my father-in-law's expressions? Too much sugar for a dime. Is that what?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we're talking
Yeah.
about. So.
Yeah. Well, we had a call last week from your nephew Dion,
We did.
and he enjoyed the show so much he has flown to Edmond, Oklahoma.
Well, I tell you what, Dion, as I told you last week, um, he had called to answer our trivia question. He
Right.
was listening online,
Yeah.
and he called to answer our trivia question, and he should have had, and in fact did have the correct answer, but he was the second caller in line.
Yes.
So Dion's just graduated from Southern Mississippi with
Yeah.
a degree in broadcast meteorology.
Yeah.
Has a passion for weather and storm chasing.
This is
and
the place
things
to be then.
things that kind of tie into our world,
Yeah.
and things that us right here in Oklahoma City and the Storm Belt Center
Yeah.
are certainly aware of. So he's looking at career possibilities here in this area, and came down this weekend to spend some time with us and kind of take a look around. So
All right.
that's where we're at. So
Okay.
okay.
So, for those of you who may have just tuned in after we gave out the trivia question, we're looking for the technology that allows us to, quote, see what was once undetectable, meaning water behind walls or under insulation or buried in or under roof systems. What is that technology? If you think you know, 405 656 5868.
And I should tell our producer that if Jobert or if Ken happen to call, do not take their calls for the trivia question, because that is not fair. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So.
Okay. Well, be forewarned then. So, what has been going on in your week?
Well, we had, of course, we had some more cold weather this week.
Yes.
But we continued to work away at finishing up some of those metal jobs that we had started the week before. Got really, really cold towards the end of the week, so we didn't get to finish those up. So
Yeah.
we detailed those out to some degree. We have some repairs for some people that really probably need new roofs, but we can't get through the insurance process fast enough to be able to deal with their issues before probably what's going to happen to us in spring storm season. So we're doing what we consider emergency repairs. And then we had some commercial roofs that we needed to utilize this technology that we're looking for as the answer to our trivia question, and do some work on those roofs utilizing that technology.
Yeah.
To do the evaluation and be able to see those unseen things.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
anyway, so that was pretty good. A lot of training again this week. We had a follow-up OSHA session. We have OSHA. There's an OSHA 10 and an OSHA 30 certification that people can get. We require that everyone in our company has an OSHA 10 certification.
Okay.
And then the people who are actively involved in the warehouse, forklift operation, materials handling, and production on the jobs need to have the OSHA 30. So we did the second half of the OSHA 10 this week. So that's kind of what we did.
All right. And we have Danny on the line. Hey, Danny, where are you calling from?
Park City, Kansas.
What city, Kansas?
Park City.
Okay.
Kansas City.
Arkansas.
Arkansas. All right.
I've got a bunch of friends. Well, not a bunch. I've got a few friends who just off the beaten path here, Danny. I've got a few friends who, quote unquote, maintain a mailing address in Arkansas City so that they can buy a Kansas hunting license. So
there you go. Hey,
all right. So Danny,
gotta find a way, right?
Find a way.
Are you taking a shot at the trivia question?
Yeah, and I didn't go to your website. I was driving down the road. I had to wait a little bit because I couldn't remember what your phone number was. But I'm thinking it's a thermal imaging camera.
Ding, 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 ding.
All right.
Ding, 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 ding.
Now, I have a little bit of an advantage over most of your listeners as I'm a roofer down here.
Well, you ought to know a little bit about that. So, yeah, We're talking about infrared thermography is what that thermal imaging camera is using to paint these pictures for us. So we can literally go in your attic if you're talking about a steep roof situation, and we can determine where any moisture intrusion in your attic has occurred over time. We can find moisture. We can find moisture under your insulation in your drywall, in your ceiling construction, and then of course I use it all the time on our commercial roofs. Anyone doing commercial roofing and doing systems roofs with manufacturer's warranties, the infrared thermography is a requirement. The scans are a requirement in order to be able to document the moisture that exists in an existing roof structure. It has to all be remediated and taken care of and removed before you start building the new roof on top of it. We have to prove all that stuff up to our manufacturers for their manufacturer's warranties. So, Danny, that's absolutely correct. Are you primarily residential or commercial or both?
We do both residential and commercial, but we're kind of limited in our range. You know, we probably got about a 3-county area.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's a nice tool. It has its place.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't used it a whole lot, but I'm familiar with it.
Well, we've gotten in our Roof RX side of things, which is our inspect, repair, and maintain company. We sell the standalone inspections, and so rather than just the old generic roof inspection, we've basically taken and broken that down into the component parts, and we have where people can add on the IR scans, either on a residential or a commercial roof. They can add on, for instance, on a residential roof, they can add on the chimney inspection, which is not just the chimney flashing, it's the entire structure of the chimney. They can add that on as an a la carte item as well. But the IR scans are something that we're seeing more and more of. And, you know, quite honestly, in the COVID world where the manufacturers are not sending reps out into the field on these commercial jobs during construction, it's become something that's been critical for us to be able to show them what our existing condition was and what we did to remediate that before we started putting on the new roof. So, well, Danny, I appreciate.
So you're talking about an overlay scenario.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Exactly. So, you know, if we've got one existing roof and we can go in there and do the overlay, then as long as we can prove that we've remediated beyond the edges of that latent moisture, the manufacturers are fine with that. So
there you go.
That's
pretty good. Pretty good thought.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. So anyway, well, I appreciate you. We've got a few books that you
too. I love your show.
Well, thank you. We've got a few books you could choose from. Let the producer know which one you'd like to have. We've of course got the Raving Fans back there. We've got the Coaching Habit, which is a really good book, and then I really enjoyed this new book, The Like. Rick? What was the last part of that?
Yeah, man.
Anyway, this is a great book. I'm going to tell you, I'm butchering the name of it, but it's an FBI guy who, at the end of his career, was actually hired to flip spies to come to work for the United States, okay? And it deals with the aspects of relationship. It deals with the proximity, the duration, the intensity, and those things, the aspects of relationship. So that's a great book, too. Tell us which one you want. Give us your mailing address, and we'll get it out to you, Danny. Thanks for playing the game.
Sounds good, fella.
All right, Danny, I'm sending you back to Randy. And we are going to take our first break today. I want to remind everybody that you're listening to Home Repair McRoof Style on the McRoof Radio Network. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. You're listening to restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCullum, answering your questions to 405-656-5868. We'll be back with the second half of the show, and we'll talk about the tool of the week.
There you go. Now we can talk about that.
And some obscure historical trivia when we return. This is the McRoof Radio Network.
Folks, Brad's Heating and Air Conditioning has been serving the greater metro Oklahoma City area for almost 40 years. In fact, I think next year I'm going to be able to say for 40 years. So, anyway, been around for a long time, providing great service for the folks here in the metro. Installation and service of all brands of heating and air conditioning equipment, air filtration specialists. If you've got air quality issues, if you're concerned about allergies or mold or any of those kinds of things, get Brad out there and let them do an analysis for you and see how they can help clean up that air for you. They're a certified American Standard dealer. They've had great reviews from their customers, of course, and from our listeners for the last couple of years who have chosen to use them. Get that furnace checked up. If you haven't done that yet, get ready for the spring season. Air quality is always a big concern around here in the springtime. Give Brad a call at 405 799 7823. That's 405 799 7823 or bradsheatandair.com. Tell them McRoof sent you.
Hey, Scott, I have folks tell me all the time that they can't find anybody out there to inspect their roof or to just fix a leak. You started Roof RX to remedy that issue, didn't you?
Well, I did. Roofers are in the business to replace roofs. They're not in the business to inspect, repair, or maintain them.
So what's so different about Roof RX then?
Well, Roof RX is a standalone company totally separate from McRoof. The inspectors are trained professionals armed with knowledge and technology. They are not roofing salespeople. Our repairs are guaranteed for life, and we offer a money-back guarantee.
Wow, that sounds great, but I'll bet you're booked up for months out.
No, sir, we're generally no more than a week or so out, and of course we get on emergencies a whole lot faster than that. Get on our list by calling Carly at 405-877-ROOF or online at roof-rx.com.
Homer Stacy was a wholesome, good American kid from Texas. At the age of 18, he enlisted in the United States Army and was stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas. Homer was fascinated with aircraft, so he went to flight school and became an Army Air Corps pilot. Homer Stacy was the pilot of a Convair B-24 Liberator, the Yankee Doodle Dandy. November 11, 1943, Homer and his crew, along with 31 other bombers, flew a mission to destroy a ball bearing plant in occupied France. On the return trip, a mechanical failure caused the plane to drop out of formation, leaving the Yankee Doodle Dandy vulnerable, and shortly thereafter, 7 German Me-109 shot the plane down near Andano, Italy. 4 crew members were killed on board. The others parachuted. 1 was captured and taken prisoner. Homer was among the remaining 5 who made it to Switzerland and returned to duty. Homer Stacy survived World War II, the Korean War, and retired after 21 years of service with numerous awards and citations, not to mention the Purple Heart. Homer Stacy. Homer Stacy McCullum, Scott McCullum's dad. Scott McCullum is McRoof. McRoof is owned and operated by the McCullum family, an honorable, trustworthy red, white, and blue family. If you want to improve or repair your property, call 855-766-3405. Ask for a no-cost roof assessment and home inspection. That's McRoof, 855-766-3405. That's McRoof.
And Home Repair McRoof Style, back on the air for the second half of the show. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. We're live in studio today with restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCullum. Retro Radio Randy is answering your call to 405-656-5868. I want to remind everybody that we are on the iHeartRadio app through KOKC and some others, the Odyssey app through KNSS in Wichita, and we're live streaming the show on our YouTube channel, the Home Repair McRoof Style YouTube channel. And we got a new subscriber just before the show. Yay! A new subscriber. And somebody just liked our Facebook page too. So that was good. Please go on and do whatever you have to do. Click or like or subscribe or whatever it is, because they tell me that's a good thing. On this date in 1850, remember reading in school about the Compromise of 1850?
I do remember.
Well, it was on this date in 1850 that Senator Henry Clay drafted that first draft. That the purpose of the Compromise of 1850 was to diffuse the tensions between the slave states and the free states over
Right.
territories won during the Mexican-American War. Postponed the Civil War for about
12 years.
Yeah. On this date in 1886, you car people will appreciate this. Carl Benz patented the Benz patent motor wagon in Germany, the world's first automobile with a burning motor. There had been steam operated cars before then.
Right.
And then on this date in 1892, the Coca-Cola Company incorporated in Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah, Coca-Cola. 1892. And let's see, when Oklahomans hear 1892, we think of B.C. Clark.
That's funny. That's funny. Can you sing the jingle? You probably
I can,
could.
but I'd rather not.
You probably could. Okay.
Actually, I can sing it like Bob Dylan. Jewelry is the gift to give.
Yeah, come on. You're too funny.
I only sing like Bob Dylan that way. Nobody knows I'm off key.
What do we do? Let's do the tool of the week.
Oh yeah, the tool of the week.
Let's do the tool of the week, and then the commercial spots reminded me about some things that happened just this week that are so absolutely spot on. I want to talk about.
So our trivia question had to do with infrared thermography.
There you go.
Being able to see moisture in places that the eyeball can't get into. All right. So the tool is. Go ahead.
The tool is a Calculated Industries 7445 AccuMaster Duo Pro Pen and Penless Moisture Meter.
So it's a moisture meter.
So this is a Calculated Industries 7445 moisture meter. This puppy will run you about $52 on Amazon.
Right.
I didn't check anywhere else. The thing I like about this moisture meter is this has the dual pins on the top of it, probes.
Okay.
So you can actually scan, you can scan with the camera
Right.
and do the imaging and things. And then when you identify an area, where you know there's moisture, and sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes there's a spot on the ceiling and
Sure.
you know where it's going to be. Sometimes there's something on the hardwood floor or the carpet, you know where it's going to be. But once you do your scan and it sends you in the right directions, then you can actually insert your probes and you can measure the degree of moisture that is in those surfaces.
Right.
Okay. So I like this one, Calculated Industry 7445 moisture meter. I think that we've got moisture meters all over this warehouse, all over the back. I think everybody that's got a pickup truck or a vehicle's got a moisture meter. Okay.
For McRoof, all of McRoof people.
To do so, this is something that I think that anyone I think pretty much anyone in construction industry, certainly anyone in the roofing industry, should have a moisture meter of some type, a camera, a probe of some type in their vehicles and ready to use for their
I'm
clients.
remembering about 5 or 6 years ago, our house flooded and the people came out to see how far up the wall on the drywall they needed to cut out.
Right.
And of course, it was obvious. The lower part was obvious. It was already starting to mildew.
Right.
And they used a probe, two-prong probe, and they poked the wall.
You have to create an edge. And that edge has got to be outside of where there was any latent or existing moisture. So in other words, they may have gone 6 inches above the furthest most point up where they found moisture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the way they're going to identify that. It's, and you want, when you're dealing with any kind of remediation, obviously you've got a tremendous insurance company with great remediation people. Okay. Their primary objective is to make sure that they get all of this quantified, encapsulated, remediated, and that you never have to deal with it again. Because if you do it the old way, which would have been feel it,
Yeah.
touch it,
Right.
kind of, oh yeah,
It
well,
feels
no,
feels pretty dry.
that feels okay.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And there's still moisture in that.
Yeah.
Well, if you still have moisture and you still have oxygen, then what are you going to get eventually?
Mold.
So this is,
Yeah.
this is an important tool for folks to have in their bag. A great tool for a homeowner to have, just to be able to, hey, you know what? This guy said I need this. Let me do my own little investigation here and make sure that I confirm that what he's telling me is really what I
And
need
for
to have
$52,
done. So for $52,
Yeah, boy, when you
exactly.
need it, nothing else will work.
There you go.
Hey, you mentioned something about what else you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I tell you, the Roof RX spot really spoke to me this time.
Okay.
Because Michael and I had an experience in the field yesterday.
Okay. Michael's one of your new guys.
Michael's one of my new guys, real just an energy level, a passion,
Right.
really, really gets it. Okay.
Right. Yeah, I met him, and he's a fine young man.
He's going to be great. So anyway, Michael and I went out on a call yesterday, and it was a big, big house with an older resident,
Okay.
single lady.
Yeah.
And she had been led down this path by a contractor to, number one, file a claim on her roof, and then the contractor didn't have the capability to be able to fight the battle and win
Ooh.
for her insurance company to actually pay for her roof to be replaced. Okay, that's number one. And number two is she then had to call a second contractor to come out to do repairs because the first contractor didn't want to get involved in that. He only wanted to replace her $70,000 roof.
Right,
okay?
of course, yeah.
He didn't want to do the repairs. So she had to call another contractor who never followed up with an estimate, and she can't get to return her phone calls. This is the reason that Roof RX exists in the first place. As I said in the commercial, we say it all the time, roofing companies in a subcontractor model are set up and designed to build roofs.
Right.
They are not set up in the context of their business, certainly in a subcontractor model, to do repairs. Subcontractors want to get paid money. They get paid money by doing volumes of squares of shingle installs,
Right.
or membrane installs. They don't make a lot of money doing $250 and $500 and $1,000 and even $2,000 or $3,000 repairs.
Right.
It is someplace where the roofing industry really stumps their toe, and that's why Roof RX exists in the first place.
Okay.
This lady, had she called Roof RX initially, number one, we would have been able to have given her an estimate for the work that she needs to have done. Number two, we would have referred her to McRoof and said, this roof really needs to be replaced before we take your money for a repair. Let McRoof fight the battle with your insurance company to get your roof replaced.
Right.
Then only in the event that they can't do that will we drop back to the repair and get you taken care of before storm season. That's how it all would have happened.
Right.
She's sitting here, been frustrated for 3 or 4 or 5 months, just doesn't know what to do, wrings her hands, things, upset with her insurance company. Here's another thing I want to say, folks. She did something that I would suggest to you that you never do. And I know there's people out there, there's a lot of my competition who are a part of quote unquote preferred networks for insurance companies.
Okay.
McRoof has been asked to be a part of quote unquote preferred networks for any number of insurance companies over the years. And I absolutely have refused to be a party to that because those, what we call managed repair, preferred contractor programs, are designed for one thing and one thing only, and that is to save the insurance company money. Okay?
It just makes sense.
I am not here to save the insurance company money. I'm not here to cost them money that they're not obligated to pay.
Right.
But I'm here to make sure that the consumer gets exactly what they're supposed to get from the insurance company.
Right.
This lady called a preferred contractor for her insurance company initially. When that preferred contractor could not get the roof bought, that preferred contractor disappeared. Then she has to go through calling the second contractor and go through everything that I explained to you previously. So, number one, avoid preferred contractor programs, or what the insurance companies call managed repair. Number two, Roof RX is in the business to deal with these more minor things that need to be done short of a full roof replacement. If you, in fact, need a full roof replacement, they have access to the entire resources of McRoof.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Well, let's do our horror story, shall we? This is the portion of the show, boys and girls, where we get really scary. It's the segment that we love to call. The title of this week's horror story, Myrtle, you sure are sagging there, girl.
I just wonder what everybody's visualizing here. So, which body parts we're talking about?
Oh my goodness!
Anyway, no, what I'm talking about is a mansard roof.
Okay.
Okay, and there are a ton of mansard roofs in Oklahoma City for
Right.
sure. Just why there, I was always amazed when I came here at how many mansards there were.
Yeah.
I just anyway.
Now you might paint a visual picture of what that looks
Okay,
like.
so the mansard is where you may have a pitched or a reasonably flat roof on top, and then at the outside walls you have a fairly vertical
Yeah.
roof structure. Okay,
Right.
that is above the top of the wall.
Right.
That's called a mansard. Okay, so what I find over the years is that very few, if any, contractors in Oklahoma know how to properly install a mansard shingled roof.
Okay.
Okay. And when I say myrtle is drooping, then obviously what I'm talking about is those shingles are sliding down.
Okay.
They're falling out.
They're not maintaining a straight line.
They're blowing off. All
Okay.
of those kinds of things.
Okay.
So here's the deal. The drooping occurs in the summertime. Okay.
Right.
Shingles get very, very hot. The asphalt gets very, very soft.
Right.
And it tears through the nails, and the
Yes.
shingles will actually droop and sometimes fall completely out, depending on how it was nailed. The blow-off part of it all comes from the way the shingle was nailed and installed. Okay, so I'm gonna, excuse me, I'm gonna tell you that from my Certainteed Shingle Applicators Manual,
Okay.
which most people know I'm a Certainteed only asphalt shingle guy. From my Certainteed Shingle Applicators Manual, when you're installing a asphalt shingle on a steep slope, and now when we say, you hear people say, oh, it's an 8 and 12 pitch. Well, that's not very steep.
Okay.
Or it's a 12 and 12. That's the point where we're starting to consider. Then you get beyond 12 and 12, and now you're dealing with things like turrets and more vertical walls and mansards.
And you're talking about how many inches per foot?
It's
the pitch.
for every foot of run, how many inches vertical does it go?
Right.
Okay, so that's what you're talking about. So anyway, for steep slope applications, which would be a mansard,
Right.
that requires 6-nail application rather than a standard 4-nail application.
Okay.
Okay, and it also requires 4 dabs of roofing asphalt.
Ooh.
Okay. So in other words, you have to hand seal that shingle and you have to install it with 6 nails. There's a drawing here that shows you exactly where the 6 nails get placed.
Okay.
There's a drawing here that shows you exactly where the 4 dabs of sealant get placed. Okay?
And that's where the training comes in that you talk about.
That's where the training comes in. There's where the value of quote-unquote systems builders, credentialed contractors, master shingle applicator, all these kinds of things. And, you know, it's one thing to talk to a roofing contractor who may know these things and have that knowledge. Where the rubber meets the road is out in the field on your roof.
Right.
Number one, who's out there installing it? Do they know what I know? And number two, who's out there supervising and taking photographs of that install to make sure that it's done exactly like this?
Okay.
So whenever you're doing a roof, we take hundreds and hundreds of photographs of our roofs. And most of the photographs are of all the details and things that no one would ever see.
Right.
Because that's where all the issues are going to come from. Okay, that's your flashing details, your ice and water details, your drip edge, your underlayments, everything like that. That's where all our pictures are. So that if anyone ever says, well, how come this is like this? We can go back through the pictures and look, say, this is exactly what we did. Here's the Shingle Applicators Manual. It was done exactly the way it was supposed to be. And sometimes I look at it, you know what? We're going to come back and we're going to redo that area because even though I don't believe you're going to have any issue with it, it is not exactly like the shingle applicator
Okay.
says it should be. So.
All right. And with that, we'll take our second break, and we'll be back with the third half of Home Repair McRoof Style on the McRoof Radio Network. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. We're live in studio with restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCullum. This will be last call for your call coming up at 405-656-5868. This is the McRoof Radio Network.
So, Rick, tell me something. What's going on with our old buddy Larry at Faith Electric?
Oh, he has a new deal going now called the Generator Super Center of Oklahoma.
Okay, so Generator Super Center of Oklahoma. We've got a phone number. I've got a phone number for them in Oklahoma City. Maybe you've got one for Tulsa. Oklahoma City, folks, is 405-341-0341. That's 341-0341.
And Tulsa, 918-500-7173. That's 918-500-7173. You can also Google Generator Super Center.
And why would they make that call, Rick?
Well, because spring storms are around the corner, and we got big weather coming in this week. People could lose power this week, and if you don't want to lose power in your house, you need a generator.
Yeah, and Generator Super Center, folks, number one Generac generator dealer in the state of Oklahoma. Get them out there, get your needs assessed, figure out exactly what you need, what it's going to cost you, and get this on the budget and figure out how to get that done. I know we had folks last year that were without power for 2 and 3 weeks, Rick.
Oh,
and I mean, that's a nightmare. So Generator Super Center of Oklahoma at 405-341-0341 or 918-500-7173. Tell them Rick sent you.
Honoring America's Warriors is an Oklahoma City-based nonprofit that provides military honors and ceremonies, service dogs for disabled veterans, and multiple activities and events for the veteran and their family. When Honoring America's Warriors was established, our first sponsor and supporter was McRoof. Now, years later, McRoof and the McCullum family continue to provide financial support to Honoring America's Warriors' important programs. To learn more about our mission, go to honoringamericaswarriors.org. Go to honoringamericaswarriors.org today.
I'm Dustin Holtz, and I am McRoof. We're looking for the best talent in the roofing and restoration industries to join our team of solutions specialists. Hear what our customers have to say. Here's Johnny.
They were such pleasant young men, set my mind at ease. So thank you so much. I appreciate y'all.
Now here's John.
My hat's off to McRoof for making that happen when nobody else would touch it. You really made a difference in our lives.
And then Dean.
You really know your roofing business and you do quality work. But what sets you apart from other roofers is the people. You treated us just like family.
Want to sell shingles? Go work for another roofer. Want to change people's lives by providing quality solutions? Come join our team. Email me at dustin.holt@mcroof.us. dustin.holt@mcroof.us.
I'm Scotty McCollum, and I am McRoof. The qualities that every McRoof team member possesses are attention to detail, integrity, and a commitment to be an expert in our field. The goal of every McRoof project is to restore a home or business to the fullest extent, and in the process, we try to create a relationship as well as lasting peace of mind. We're not happy if you're not happy.
Replacement done right. McRoof.us, 855-766-3405. And Home Repair McRoof Style back on the air for the third half of the show. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. We're live in studio with restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCullum. Retro Radio Randy is answering your call to 405-656-5868. Hey, if there is one Shakespeare play that everyone is familiar with, it is Romeo and Juliet. On this date in 1595, it is believed that it was performed for the very first time. Now, that was a long time ago, and the
Yeah.
records are a little spotty, so they just think it was on this date. On this date in 1845, Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven was published in the Evening Mirror newspaper in New York City. Quoth the Raven nevermore. And then here's your Beatles trivia.
Okay.
On this date in 1964, the Beatles recorded in German, I Want to Hold Your Hand and She Loves You. I am not about to attempt to pronounce the German titles, but I figured it's, and I have heard them. I've heard those songs before. Anyway, they recorded them in German, and they were, of course, really big in Germany before they were big in America, as a matter of fact. And then I want to remind everybody that we're live streaming the show on the Home Repair McRoof Style YouTube channel, and we have our Tool of the Week on our Facebook page.
There you go.
And we have a website now, the McRoof Radio Network website, where we put show archives from the YouTube channel on there. All right, so Scott, anything else?
Well, yeah, I had a situation come up this last week that I just it's worth revisiting. Folks, we've talked about we don't want you to jump to reach for the telephone to file an insurance claim on your roof. We've talked about that for years and years and years. We want you to, if you got a tree through the roof or half of your roof is blown off or whatever, yeah, you can go ahead and call the insurance company. But if you have less minor damage to your roof that needs to be assessed, it needs to be looked at in terms of what your deductible is and what your policy conditions are, wait until we get out there to evaluate your roof and advise you to file a claim before you do so. I think long term it'll be in your best interest. We don't want people who have claims filed that are going to get denied. We don't want people that have claims filed that are going to pay out less than their deductible or their out-of-pocket is going to be, those kinds of things. That's what we're trying to prevent. On the other hand, and this is what I really want to talk about, when we tell you that you have significant damage, ample damage, and should in fact file an insurance claim for replacement either for wind or hail, you need to act with some urgency.
Okay.
Okay, because as we've talked about, the insurance companies have become more and more and more rigid in the notification clauses in their policy about when you must notify them of a loss. Okay. And, now what we run into, and I'm going to bump up against this a little bit with this situation this year, is where this claim should have been filed early in 2021.
Okay.
Okay. Because I've got loss dates and I feel very certain that that's when this damage actually occurred. Now, we have had some less severe hail events and some less severe wind events that would add to that claim.
Right.
Okay. But here's the problem. If the insurance company says, no, this damage occurred in 2021, okay, and to the degree that they can determine that something else happened more recently than that, I mean, it's not black and white. It's
Right.
all kind of forensics piecing things together.
Yeah.
But in the event they could say, okay, well, we agree that this happened back in January of 2021, but we think this happened in 2022, okay? That's two separate losses.
Oh.
Okay, that's two separate losses, two separate deductibles. Don't generally get into that situation or have to deal with that with most insurance companies, but I'm telling you that we're seeing that more and more and more as we go forward. When we tell you to file a claim on your roof and you say, I think I'll wait till after storm season, or I
Right.
think I'll wait till next year, or whatever.
Yeah.
You're not doing yourself any favors.
Right.
Okay. You really need to go ahead and get that claim filed. And the other thing is, your property's at risk. Okay.
Yeah.
You paid your insurance premiums to restore your property.
Right.
So let's get the claim done. Let's get your property restored. Let's protect everything else that can happen to you by not the roof that I was on the other day that I'm referring to, has a lot of damage in the decking and the structure. Okay, that damage is going to migrate into the interior of the building, and the insurance company can very easily say, probably rightfully so, why didn't you take care of this? We're not responsible for the fact that you've got this going on the inside because you didn't take care of the outside. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when we tell you you've got enough damage, significant enough damage to file an insurance claim, we're doing that with knowledge of what your deductible is, what your policy conditions are, and what we believe to be your best interest. It's what I would do if it were my property. That's how we're counseling you.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not counseling you to file a claim because we want to do a roof. We're counseling you to file a claim because we know that's what we would do were it our own property. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Hey, let's get stormy. We have some big weather rolling in this week. It may be gorgeous out there today, tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday.
Now, I don't know about Tuesday. Well,
what I was seeing was that Tuesday night, things are going to start changing Tuesday night. And then it's going to get brutally cold.
Yeah.
Brutally cold down to the single digits.
Yeah.
And so that's certainly time you want to open up your cabinets, under the, any cabinet that has water in the wall.
So let's do
exterior wall.
Let's do after the storm first, and then we'll do before the storm.
Okay, so, after the storm.
Okay, so after the storm, and this is exactly the situation I was just describing to you. And this gentleman drove up to his corporate, commercial building one morning, and there was something laying in the driveway.
Okay,
and that was his tip off that he needed to take a lap around the building and call me.
Okay.
Well, he took the lap around the building, and what he saw is something that he would have seen 2 or 3 months ago had he taken the lap around the building.
Oh.
Okay. So this is what we say after we've had a wind event with those 60+ mile an hour winds.
Right.
Okay. If you want to call it 70, call it 70. But I think 60 mile an hour winds are fairly significant.
And we had some of that not too long ago.
Absolutely did have. Okay. Or we have any kind of a hail event, or we have any kind of event where you've had significant rainfall over a long period of time. We get into one of those scenarios where we get those 10 or 12 inches in 2 or 3 days or whatever.
Right.
When that's over with, you need to get outside and look around. You need to be looking at your roof. You need to be looking to see if there's any ridge shingles missing, any field shingles missing. Do flashings and everything look like they're the way they're supposed to be? You may have some masonry coming off of the masonry chimney structures take so much abuse from the wind. People don't realize.
Wow.
You may have some masonry, some mortar, some actual brick that's come off your fireplace, things like that. Be paying attention to that. Is the chimney cap still there? Okay.
Yeah.
Are the caps on all of your furnaces and water heaters, are they still there? Have they blown off?
Right.
Had a guy last week had us out. One of his turbine heads had blown off in the big winds that we had a week or two ago. Okay. It's not an uncommon thing. Okay?
Wow.
Another reason I don't like turbines.
Yeah.
But fortunately, he knew that his turbine head was blown off, and he got it fixed before you had snow and ice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, be diligent whenever there's any kind of weather. Just, get far enough away from your house. If you have to go in your neighbor's backyard or your neighbor's yards to be able to get far enough away to see the entire roof structure, do that simple inspection. If there's anything that concerns you, if there's organic material on the roof, give McRoof a call. We'll send somebody out from Roof RX or McRoof, get you taken care of, and you're good to go for the next storm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know when my wife and I walk around the neighborhood, there's one place at our next door. We live next to the house that's on the corner, and that's a little higher elevation, so we can walk around the corner and I can look down on part of my roof, and I do that every time we walk around.
Yeah, that's where you used to go around and film the raccoons.
It is.
When it was back in the pond days on your roof. So So that's the after the storm.
Yeah.
The before the storm, like what we're coming up this week. Obviously, you want to get out and you want to protect your plants. You want to cover up those hose bibs.
Yeah.
You want to drip those faucets. Anything on that north wall.
And I would suggest water your plants, water your shrubs, water your potted plants water them really well, then disconnect the hoses and cover
Yep.
up the hose.
We talked about that this morning. We still had things covered up from last week.
Yeah.
We're going to uncover everything. We're going to water as hard as we can for the next 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Getting that moisture into the root structures and into the soil protects your foundation, protects your house, protects your plants, everything else. So absolutely. But then, as Rick said, remember, if you hooked up any hoses, remember to disconnect those before we get cold next week. But again, the north and west facing walls.
Yeah.
If you've got a bathroom cabinet, a vanity, open those doors up, drip that faucet, keep that water moving, and obviously you'll be in good shape.
Right.
So,
Because when we have lows in the single digits, now we're talking pipe bursting
I
weather.
always tell people that when it gets to low 20s and stays there, that's when I'm concerned.
Sure.
Okay. I don't, 17, 18 degrees and it's going to be 45 this afternoon.
Right.
That's not what I'm talking. I'm not very concerned about that.
Right.
But when it gets into those low 20s and it's going to stay there and below for a few days,
Right.
that's where you've really got to be concerned about that. And again, we talk about it all the time. Take care of your animals and take care of your neighbors. I know Wanda's going out to kind of do some welfare checks on a couple of folks today.
Yeah.
That she hadn't been able to get on the telephone, and it's just a good thing to do. Just be a good neighbor.
Yeah. We're going to be checking in on one of our neighbors this afternoon, and when we go do our walk after the show, and there we go. You still have your consumer tips that people can get just by emailing to
Absolutely. And email consumertips@mcroof.us. I'll tell you that Carly, my daughter, is the one that answers almost all of those emails that come in through the website.
Okay.
Whether it's consumer tips or whether it's folks emailing in for inspections or repair work for Roof RX.
Yeah.
She's kind of the gatekeeper there.
Good.
And typically folks are going to hear back from us within the first couple of hours. The next day, if they've emailed us overnight, she'll be on the phone with you, setting up appointments, getting a little bit more information about exactly what it is that you need, and getting all this information out to you. She's also the one that when we advise people to file an insurance claim, she's the one that sends them the email that says exactly what we want them to tell the insurance company. Things that the insurance company needs to know. It's a steep roof. You'll need a steep rope team or something like that.
Right.
Things that a consumer wouldn't know to advise the insurance company about. So.
Okie doke.
All right.
Well, as we wrap up, I just want to remind everybody out there that the pandemic is still raging more than ever. If you haven't been vaccinated, please consider doing that. It seems like the hospitals are overrun with unvaccinated people who wish they had been vaccinated.
Well, we had 2 meetings canceled this week because the other parties involved were either exposed or tested positive. So it is a struggle to keep business running normally, that's for sure.
All right, so we're wrapping up with some dad's wisdom.
And I hope one of these days that I quit saying this, but it keeps coming back around in my world. If you don't have time to do the job right, you better have time to do it again. And I tell you what, I look at these pictures, I look at everything, and as good as we are, I make them do stuff over again just so they get the gist of what it really is to do a job right. So,
doing a job right.
Doing a job right.
This has been episode number 202.
Wow.
Of Home Repair McRoof Style on the McRoof Radio Network. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. I want to thank Restoration Specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCullum for his wisdom, Retro Radio Randy for his skills and personality. And thanks to Nephew Dion for watching through the window, the new window. We'll be back next week.
Have a great week.